Gospel and homily for the 6th Sunday in Ordinary Time, Year B. The Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Mark. A leper came to Jesus and pleaded on his knees. "If you want to," he said, "you can cure me." Feeling sorry for him, Jesus stretched out his hand and touched him. "Of course I want to," he said. "Be cured." And the leprosy left him at once, and he was cured. Jesus immediately sent him away and sternly ordered him, "Mind you say nothing to anyone, but go and show yourself to the priest and make the offering for your healing prescribed by Moses as evidence of your recovery." The man went away, but then started talking about it freely and telling the story everywhere, so that Jesus could no longer go openly into any town, but he had to stay outside in places where nobody lived. Even so, people from all around would come to him. The Gospel of the Lord. They say that one of the principal reasons why AIDS spread so rapidly in some parts of the developing world is because, generally speaking, people were in denial about it. A lot of victims, out of shame, would pass off their illness as something else. Perhaps there could be a connection here between that and what was happening with lepers in the Lord's Day. They had to live apart from the general population because they were considered unclean. Out of sight meant out of mind for the families of these unfortunate people. Being unclean, however, doesn't just refer to the body, but also to the soul of the person and to our souls as well. We could call it the leprosy of sin. Now, just like with AIDS, we may not be upfront about sin, so we don't have to deal with it head on. If we don't call it by its proper name and take responsibility for it, the chances are that we'll never be cleansed of it. Jesus told those who conspired against him that they would die in their sins if they remained obstinate of heart. And now we don't want that to happen to us. Lepers were quarantined from the general population, a bit like in the recent pandemic when people had to shield even from their loved ones to avoid contamination. But sin also can have that effect on us. Like Adam and Eve, we want to escape and shield from God and pretend that he doesn't exist at all. Jesus told the leper to go and show himself to the priest. Perhaps there is an allusion here to the sacrament of penance, where people go and confess to a priest if they are affected in a serious way by the deadly contagion of sin. A generic confession and absolution is fine for small sins, but for grave ones, we need to have a one-to-one with the confessor. It would be foolish, I think, in the secularly ordinary day-to-day world to withhold relevant information from your ordinary medical doctor regarding your health. Some people do that. The physician of your souls is in the same boat, I'm afraid. He can't help you if you're hiding things from him and think you're hiding them from God as well. When confronted by God after eating the fruit of the forbidden tree, if you remember, Adam and Eve blamed each other. They didn't blame themselves. They put the blame on each other and then on the serpent. A bit like in Gaza at the moment, no one has taken responsibility for the thousands of deaths of mostly innocent people. Another thing about lepers is that their skin becomes desensitized when exposed to extreme pain. For instance, if they plunge their hand into a bucket of boiling water, they feel no pain. So sad. The same is true of spiritual malfunction. We can become desensitized to evil. We can become oblivious of the misery we may be causing others. Sin becomes a way of life, which we can so easily justify. There is some hope if my conscience, like a flashing light, spurs me on into action. But when my conscience, and it happens a lot, is put into cold storage and doesn't bother me at all, then the leprosy of the soul has really taken hold and can be actually deadly. But, as with the leper in today's gospel who pleaded on his knees, Jesus is only too happy to cure us from spiritual leprosy if we really desire it. The choice is ours. Thank you all for listening, and God bless you all.